watch David Allen Voyles, Helen Sanders, and Braxton Ballew, oops, I said that wrong, Ballew like Baloo the Bear, and Jude Matulich-Hall chat a little bit about writing and music. This is Titles, Talk, and Tipples. I'm Jude Matulich-Hall, the author of Eversteam Chronicles, as well as the co-producer of Bad Juju and J-Bone Presents, streaming on YouTube and Open Signal cable network out of Portland, Oregon. Welcome, Helen Sanders, a fantasy author, Braxton Ballew, upright bass player and co-creator of Valentine Wolfe and operatic metal music, and David Voyles, gothic horror writer. Thank you guys for coming. It's good to see you here. Let's jump into it. David, what have you been up to?
Well, it's basically been trying to have a book launch for my fifth book, about Edgar Allan Poe, a novel about Poe when he was 15 years old. But we had a little bit of a hiccup. It's more than a hiccup. I think the world and nation knows. But my book was set to be launched in October, at the beginning of October, and right at the end of September, Hurricane Helene had other plans. And I live in Swannanoa, North Carolina, right outside of Asheville. It was the heart. That's what was hit the hardest from the hurricane. I'm in my house.
Oh, good.
That's miraculous, actually, from all the things that went on. We ended up sheltering some of our neighbors who had to come up the mountain a little bit on foot in the midst of the storm that morning, about 9:30 in the morning, because of a landslide that went down the side of the mountain right toward their houses. And they came with their dogs in the midst of the storm and took refuge. And then when we went out to check on things, it was like a Twilight episode, because we couldn't get radio. We couldn't find anyone for 24 hours. It was just trees were down everywhere. A tree smashed into our house. We're still going to be having repairs done months from now. But we all survived. No one was injured on our road. Many people lost their lives. People lost their houses. We were really lucky. So we're grateful for that. So to think about, oh, my book launch got messed up because of, well, woe is me. Well, woe is me. It did mess things up, but, there were far worse things than that. So I've been trying to do other things, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk about Edgar a little bit.
It's January. This is being filmed in January. It doesn't mean it's going to go out in January, but it's being filmed in January.
Right.
And Edgar Allan Poe's birthday is
January 19th. That's right.
So, yay. Again, I can't believe it's been a year since I chatted with Braxton and Sarah last year around this time. I cannot believe it's been a year. That's insane. Wow. But happy birthday, Edgar Allan Poe. We'll talk about him and many other things.
Yeah.
So, Braxton, what are you and Valentine Wolfe up to?
Well, kind of a variation on what David said, up to the not even a severe part. I think where we started, Dave and I, and we figured out we're not that far. I'm only about an hour south of Asheville area in Greenville, South Carolina, and we also had some hurricane-related issues. Nothing nearly as severe as what happened up the road. We had a tree kind of come down, narrowly missing our house. We had a little minor flood in our studio that we caught super in time. So it's like you can't even really complain about it because of what everyone else is going through. But it was still about the time we had picked for the release of Lost to the Night, which is the newest Valentine Wolfe record, which we still managed to sort of launch semi-successfully. But I think that one thing that we take comfort on is it's still new to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So we've kind of got a lot of things that we can kind of keep redoing. But yeah, the first half of that record is Edgar Allan Poe related, and the back half is all Dracula related.
Nice. Okay.
So we're we're having a lot of fun with that music, and still sort of using it as a way to, let people enter the world of Valentine Wolfe, so to speak. It's one of those records. I could safely say, if you listen to Lost to the Night and you hate it, you're probably not missing anything by skipping the rest of our discography.
Okay.
But beyond that, we've got, we're really excited for the year coming up. We are already planning the next album and what we may do and what we're working on, what we're thinking of. We've already started collecting ideas for things like that, and just rolling along and just sharing creepy music with people, and finding our people.
Yeah, that's great. We Valentine, well, thank you so much. We use their music on our show, and if ever copyright is necessary, we'll have to go back and edit stuff. They say you got to take it down, but until then, we do feature them on our show often.
We got y'all. We'll figure that out. I think I know the people who own the copyright. So
oh, nice. Okay.
we can get something figured out for you.
Right. And Helen Sanders, you are also in the Pacific Northwest like I am. So we haven't been dealing with hurricanes, but we have been dealing with some bomb cyclones here on the West Coast. So they're not as severe as hurricanes, but they can cause damage. How have you weathered the storms?
Well, I am from Florida, and I have a lot of relatives who have experienced the hurricane in Georgia. I have a lot of relatives in North Georgia and property in North Georgia, so I can feel your pain, North Carolina. My mother was born in North Carolina, so we on the island. I live on Lopez Island. I had a tree did come down and did smash my trunk of a car, but again, that's compared to the hurricanes and that kind of stuff that's going on, people going through landslides and losing water, electricity. I had a couple of trees come down, but really it's like, hooray, trees are coming down because I live on 7 acres in the woods. Trees come down,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been stormy. Obviously the climate change is affecting all of us everywhere.
Sure. Yeah.
I think that it's not is kind of vastly silly in my mind right now, but
Yeah.
we all manage to keep going. I mean, people go on with their music, they go on with their writing. I'm sure David will continue on with his book launch as soon as he possibly can.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep writing, and I'm looking forward to, I'll probably release Patterns Web in the middle of this year.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So, are you writing anything right now, or are you focusing on publishing?
No, I'm working on finishing Patterns Web. It's in its third write through. It takes me like 3 or 4 write throughs to really, to get the thread of things going well.
Yeah.
You can make it good, but you just want to keep on making it as good as you possibly can wherever you are in your craft.
Yeah. Do you feel like talking a little bit about what your stories are about?
Oh God, really?
You don't have to. You don't have to if you don't want to.
Well, it's a series. It's the Ringmaker series. So it basically starts off with these 3 people who are all magic users, and being magic users in their land is a really shitty thing to do. I'm sorry I said that word, but it's true.
That's okay.
So they're all leaders and they're all magic users, but they're secret magic users. Nobody's supposed to know that. And they get kidnapped by an evil man named Agatatur, who is also a magic user, but he has no qualms about using his magic for evil. And so the whole series is basically one by one, they escape their kidnappers, learn something valuable about themselves, and go on to address the tapestry that used to be magic by bringing whatever it is in their magical repertoire back to life and restoring the environment where magic can thrive. I mean, that's the gist of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's mostly character driven. I try. Yeah.
Good story.
So it's basically the third person in the Xavier is the first person to get freed, and then Alice Quint's the second person, then Talisker will be the third. He's a war guy. He's a general.
Okay.
Anyway.
And how many books are in the Ringmaker series so far?
Right now there are 4. There's 3 that are finished. The 4th one's almost finished. Then there'll be a 5th and a 6th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So are all those stories already in your?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
they live in the cellar or the attic rather.
Yeah. And Braxton, how many albums does Valentine Wolfe have?
So Sarah is a very prolific composer, and usually what takes us a long time is usually me. And the short answer is, I think when I counted official releases, not including singles, I think we're up to 17 now. Just because we kind of feel like, in addition to music sort of being our sanctuary, we also sort of feel that like the best way for us to get better at doing a thing is just to do the thing a lot. And especially writing, composing, I think is, Sarah's absolute favorite thing to do. And when we decided we wanted to create music together and we wanted to do it with the unconventional instrumental forces we do, solo bass, and then using that sort of in place of the rhythm guitars, and then, indulging in our love of electronic music and everything, for drum programming and synthesizers, we really like a lot of those textures that we didn't really find a lot of instruction manuals to do it. So a lot of the things like, I don't even think I'm joking, but when I talk to people about audio techniques and production advice, I'm like, you can trust me because I have made every mistake you can possibly make. If it's possible to mess something up, I think I've done it over the course of our career, I guess. And then this year, I think the plan is we don't normally do this though. Whenever we put out albums, we usually just write until it's like, well, this is the amount. When we finished writing Lost to the Night, we realized, well, if we write any more songs, it's got to be a double album, and we can only afford the single album. So we have 44 minutes of music. That's it. And I think this year the plan is actually to just see how much more we can write. We've got to, in order to like push ourselves to not get bogged down in workflow so much. We're like, okay, we're just gonna write. We're probably gonna write more songs than we use for the album. We've only done that once before. That was the Emily Dickinson record we did in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
We wound up writing some songs that didn't make the album for that. But so I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I think that's gonna be really cool. We might we've thrown in the odd cover as well. The most recent song we've sort of worked on was a cover of Lestat's Why the Long Face from the AMC Interview with the Vampire.
Oh,
that was sort of fun to put our own twist on.
nice. Okay. And David, how many books do you have out?
This Edgar is the 5th, but I have
Okay.
two collections of short stories, 2 novellas really, and Edgar the novel. So and this one, I don't know, whatever you've just completed is always the one that seems, I won't say it's a favorite, but it's the one that's on your mind the most.
Yeah.
And people, I don't know, and people then often tell you, oh, that's my favorite, but whichever one is the last one. So but I am excited about Edgar. I've been disappointed in some ways. I'm an independent author, so don't have a publisher or an agent to be pushing things. So it's just really made life very challenging to get the book out there. And this year has been especially hard, even though I really do think is the best thing I've written. And yet the circumstances have made it very difficult to get it out there. But the story, every time anybody hears about it, other than agents, they say, oh yeah, that's an incredible idea. We definitely need to go with that. Because the premise is to take, you appreciate that, right, Ellen?
Oh yeah.
The premise of Edgar is to imagine the big what if, the elevator pitch line is, what if Edgar Allan Poe's scariest stories were inspired by things that happened to him one summer when he was 15 years old? So I get to incorporate a lot of things about Poe's life. I get to incorporate things from his stories, but put a twist on them all. And I had so much fun researching about Poe so I could put just enough in there. And I found out things. I taught English for 30 years. I found out things about Poe that I didn't know. And
Yeah.
I feel like I know about his true love, and I've never heard anybody talk about who his true love is. It's not Virginia, his cousin, whom he really did love, and he was heartbroken at her death. But I don't think people know about who his true love was.
Yeah. Well, we'll come back to who Edgar Allan Poe's true love was after this. Don't go into the dark alone. We'll be right back. We'll spend a few more minutes with Jude and Titles
Talking Tipples with Jude Matulich-Hall,
Yes, and
co-producer of one of the greatest horror host shows in the universe, in the known universe.
yeah, so enjoy. Okay.
Let's go back.
I'm glad you got that reference. All right, so part 2. We're just gonna keep talking about what you guys are doing with your stuff and talk about, well, and this is something I'm kind of gonna throw it at you. I'm gonna wait till my timer's done ringing. The tolling of the bell.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go for it, please.
What about your work? I haven't
Oh.
heard you. Where are you with your stuff?
Oh gosh. Okay. So, since July, I have become a professional violinist. So July through December was, excuse the expression, balls to the wall, concerts and dress rehearsals and practices and all that stuff. So I have not touched anything since July. But it's wonderful. I mean, it's something I never thought I'd actually do. I quit violin when I was 17 and didn't pick it up again until I was 40. And 50 is right around the corner. And I'm here as a professional violinist. So wow, don't give up on the things you love, no matter how old you are, because things can happen. So so that's happening. So I have a new job and my old job still. But I have, since the concert series has ended, I have started picking up my books again. I still only have the one published, which I shall not name it because I am fighting for the rights back. And but I am slowly, I finished 2 more books. And I'm slowly, yeah, it's a prequel to the book that is already out in the world.
Okay.
That takes place 300 years prior to the events of the one book. It's when it gets released again, it will be titled what it was supposed to be titled, was Small Demons, which it's not titled that right now. It is part of the Eversteam Chronicles. These books that I'm in the process of doing will be a trilogy that runs at first it's 300 years prior, but then it comes up to parallel of the first book. So the trilogy will run parallel to that book and the 2 books that are supposed to, so it's like 2 trilogies running parallel. And they're all up here. My head is very crowded, 6 books of information. Yeah, it's gonna be to the point that I'm gonna have to go back and reread the first book to even pick up where I left off there, because I'm actually going forward with this other trilogy before I go back to that book. So a lot could happen. But that one, it's a pirate, it's like a pirate fantasy. There's a parallel universe called and it's where the Fae escaped to, because there was a huge war between humans and the Fae, and they escaped to this parallel kind of world. And but then they have to go back because their world is disappearing and they don't know why. I don't want it to sound like the never ending story. It's not like that. Because every time I say their world is disappearing and nobody knows why. It's like, because people stop believing. That's not what happens. Because they stopped believing a long time ago, and that's why this other universe came into existence, was because humans stopped believing. And that's where I'm like, no, it's not like the never ending story, I swear. But this is about a civilization of basically pirates. They're gleaners, and they have ships and airships and water ships and land ships, and there's elves and dwarves and ogres, and they have to come back to Earth to find out why their world is disappearing. And so it's a pirate adventure, you know, swords and all sorts of battles and cool worlds and islands that with carnivorous trees and lots of fun stuff like that. And that's gonna be, I have 2 of them done, and so I am in the midst of rewriting and editing the first one.
Is that Small Demons?
No, Small Demons is the other one. I don't have a title for this.
You don't have a
I'm really
title for the pirate
struggling
one?
for a title. I was thinking From Oon to Earth. You know, Eversteam Chronicles, From Oon to Earth. Because I want that little the Eversteam Chronicles up on top. And but From Oon to Earth, I mean, that doesn't really mean anything to anybody, right? But I think there's a lot of books out there that might not mean anything to anybody. You know, they're gonna be like, what's Oon? You know, UNE is the word. And it means earth in the language that I made up. I created a language for this
That's pretty cool.
universe. Yeah, it was very difficult.
A lot of work.
Yeah, a lot of work, and still a lot of work. I have to make adjustments all the time, and so that takes up a lot of time. Just that alone, the editing for translating stuff into the language. It's like, wow, Tolkien, you know, Tolkien did it, and mine isn't even as elaborate as his, but that's where I am in this in this writing life. And I do a lot for the show. We're making Bad Juju and J-Bone a lot. We spend a lot of time on it, even though we don't pump out a lot of episodes. It's still a lot of work in the background, and I'm slow at everything. We're kind of slow at everything because we're super busy, but it's still happening here and there.
Good.
Yeah. All right. So, who was Edgar Allan Poe's true love?
Yes, that's the thing that was amazing. Because when he was 15, he met a girl that lived in Richmond. All of this, of course, takes place in Richmond, Virginia. And he had a friend named Robert Stannard, who he actually did go to school with later. He went to the University of Virginia, and people usually know about West Point and different things, and getting kicked out of school and all that kind of stuff. Those stories, I think, get exaggerated. But with his friend Robert, he met Elmira Royster, who lived just on one of the side streets there. And they fell in love when they were 15, vowed that they were going to get married. And that when Edgar went off to the University of Virginia the next year at 16, they would still, you know, stay in touch. They would be writing, and he would come back and they would be married. But her father was not happy at all with the relationship because Edgar Allan Poe's natural parents, he was living with adopted parents, you know, of John and Frances Allen.
Yeah.
They were actors. And so that whole social status thing just did not fly with the Roysters. So the father kept Elmira's letters from going out and intercepted the ones that were coming in. So Edgar and Elmira thought that the other one had lost interest. So they went about their lives. They got married. She married. He married. But then later they had both lost their spouses. And when Edgar Poe had come back to Richmond after Virginia's death, he reunited with Elmira. And they ignited this whole romance, came back up again, and he was very, very happy, and they were to be married. And he was going up to Baltimore again to get Virginia's mother. Of course, you know, he stayed on good terms with Virginia's mother,
Yeah, he
with his mother.
considered her. His
He
poem
did.
Mother
He
was
did. He
was
lost so many
about
women in
her.
his life, but
Yeah.
so he was definitely attached to her, went up to go get her and bring her down, also do some business on the trip. And that's the trip he died on. And all those mysterious circumstances about him being not even in the right city, like we're not wearing his own clothes, all kinds of crazy things that happened there. So it's so extra tragic that when he had finally found happiness after all so much suffering, that he lost it again.
Oh.
So yeah, but I consider, I mean, Virginia, he definitely loved, but Elmira, I think, was his true love. And it was about to happen again. So my story covers Edgar and Elmira and Robert as three friends who are going through this very mysterious circumstance where a doppelganger that looks like Edgar, who's really a supernatural force, appears and creates this whole series of events that take place. And only Edgar and Elmira know about it too, and they help him. But his main help comes from a one-eyed black cat named Morella. And Morella ends up being kind of his mentor. She's a very important part of the book. And most of the people that have read the book and tell me about it say, oh, Morella's my favorite part, the cat.
I've read a few chapters. I'm still working on it because I'm bad with digital books. I really I
like to have that tactile.
Yeah. So I have another book that I'm reading through for someone, and it's digital too. And it's like, why is it taking me so long? I like the stories, you know, but I realized I think it's because it's digital that I'm having a problem with it. So I'll do the best I can, but it's kind of frightening. Some of the stuff that happens is quite chilling in your story. Yeah. It's
definitely scary stuff.
Yeah. You know, and there was something that I skipped at the beginning that I forgot to do was talk about our Tipples. And so I'll edit this to go after the introduction. So what are you all drinking? What are you tippling on?
Well, I had to put a drink in my Edgar Allan Poe mug. I don't know if I can see that. There's Edgar.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah.
It has quotes all around it. And it's a cold, freezing rain night here in the mountains in North Carolina. And I wanted something hot. So I have hot cider with a good big splash of Fireball whiskey.
Nice. I love Fireball whiskey, actually. How about you?
Warm you up twice.
Huh?
It warms you up twice. You know, the hot
There
cider,
you go.
the whiskey.
How about you, Braxton? What are you tippling on?
So I am being kind of boring because I'm doing dry-ish January and
oh, that's right.
forgetting I needed to bring a tipple tonight. Last night, I will give a shout out to one of my favorite local breweries in Greenville, Liability Brewing. They've just done a really fantastic barley wine called Ferrymen of the Dead. So I'd love to say so I was drinking that in the past, but now I'm just drinking, this is just an unsweet tea. But I did put it in my Iron Maiden Fear the Dark pint glass.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So it's just
go.
unsweet tea.
The glass makes up for it. And Helen, how about you? What are you drinking?
Well, I'd like to lie and tell you I was drinking a very floral vodka because I tried one the other day. But I'm actually doing the same thing that the musician gentleman is doing, and I'm drinking water with lemon juice.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not a fine Viognier or something. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Chinese medicine, we call it a liver. Just being kind to your liver.
Yeah. And I'm drinking a cranberry lime ginger with bison grass vodka. So cheers.
Ooh.
Wow.
Cheers.
Sounds good. Cheers.
All right. Well, I think that's a good wait, no. Let's Braxton, do you have any tidbits about Edgar Allan Poe or anything else? How about you said your album's about Dracula. So is this based on a specific characterization of Dracula, or is it based on Bram Stoker's novel, or how did that come
It's
up?
more like vignettes from the novel, and Lost to the Night isn't a concept album in the sense of like Pink Floyd's The Wall or Tommy or something like that, but it does have sort of a thread that connects everything. And we knew we wanted to write some Dracula songs because in 2023 we were fortunate enough to collaborate with Dacre Stoker, Bram's great grandnephew.
Oh wow.
Um,
That's
and about he's got this really cool lecture, and we about interestingly, a lot of what David's imagination has brought to life, because Bram, if you hang out with Dacre, you realize there's a lot of things that my favorite example is in the docks at Whitby, like the number of steps from when the Demeter crashes, which was originally a Russian scholar called the Dmitri. Learned all this from Dacre.
okay.
Like the number of steps is accurate. It's like little details like that. And Bram and Edgar, the common thread is they both spent significant time in the theater. Stoker managed the Lyceum Theater. Henry Irving was likely the inspiration for the Count, and we found out that Edgar was a practitioner. This is like the best word I've learned, and we adapted it. We learned that there's a word called melodeclamation,
Mhm.
which is a wonderful word that just means reciting poetry to the accompaniment of like an orchestra or something like that. And we're like,
Oh,
well,
okay.
That's
we
very
do
cool.
cool stuff like that all the time.
Yeah.
So we were melodeclamating. So what we
Public.
so what we tried to do with Lost to the Night, because it starts off, we knew we wanted to put Annabelle Lee on there. We wanted to redo that particular song for years. If you could name a Valentine Wolfe song, it was Annabelle
Yeah,
Lee.
the wonderful
Whenever I
song.
talk about Annabelle, I am like, I have attempted to take her out of the set list a few times, and every time we don't play that song live,
Somebody else.
somebody's like, hey, so Annabelle Lee, what's up? I'm
Yeah.
like, all right.
It's a great
So
video too. I know it's been a long time since the video was made.
that was shot down in Anderson with our good friends Vic Aviles and Kevin Wood, who had an idea for it. But that was the thing it was so long ago, and we kept having to play Annabelle, or choosing to play Annabelle Lee live. And Sarah had the idea of really wanting to update it, and when we were kind of putting out the album yet to draw a book analogy, it's like it was less George Lucas tweaking the original trilogy, and it was more like this is the definitive Urtext edition of Annabelle, is sort of how we thought of it.
That's great.
And then we went back, we set The Haunted Palace, A Dream Within a Dream, and I think we threw in an Emily Bronte song because we just thought it was cool. But the whole sort of the way it all flows. Oh, and then Sarah created this really cool sort of mashup of She Walks in Beauty, where the verses are the Byron poem, but the chorus is To One in Paradise, which we were like, we just thought it was cool imagining Edgar and George crushing over 19th century goth girl. But so we decided to arrange the whole flow. Since we knew we were going to do vinyl, we'd have side one and side two. So flipping the album serves as a nice sort of intermission. So we thought, well, what if it was a 19th century night at the theater with Act One devoted to Edgar Allan Poe, and then other romantic poets that we take an intermission, and then Act Three is all this new fiend, and that's Dracula. So we wrote a song, and so we're not attempting to tell the story at all. It's just we wrote a song about Lucy called Lucy because it's a character that we found always fascinating. There's a two-part instrumental about Dracula's brides. One's called part one's we stole the titles from the text. One's called This Nocturnal Existence. The other one's The Pleasure of Fiends. and then it ends with the dead travel fast, and so
Oh,
it was
yeah.
just so it's all more vibe and atmosphere. Because I think, at the risk of sort of repeating myself, because I'm trying to recall what we talked about a year ago. I can't believe it's been that long. I think Dracula, and even I would think to an extent Edgar Allan Poe, I think gets so ingrained in like the everybody knows consciousness. Frankenstein is right up there as well. That especially I think with Frankenstein, um, you know, Karloff is so iconic and it's a story everyone knows, but then you sit down and you actually reread it and you're like, classical musicians, it's like playing Beethoven's Fifth,
Yeah.
right? Like when you play it, people are like, oh yeah, this is like really seriously good. It's more than just a ringtone kind of thing. And I think that was the cool thing about exploring all of that music. I definitely don't think we've written our last Edgar Allan Poe song, but I don't think we're quite done with Dracula either.
Yeah, so the big
but-
book. Yeah.
But that was sort of where we went. We were like, how do we connect these two? And then we got into the history and realized that this sort of way people used to experience art and entertainment really kind of appealed to us. So
That's
we
great. Yeah.
kind of structured the songs kind of with that sort of,
Sure.
and then there's more to it as well. There's like there's like a whole sort of world hiding in the album cover and the album art because
Oh, wonderful. Easter
love stuff
eggs.
like that. Yeah, tons,
Well-
actually tons.
Well, we're gonna take a break. Not really, but and we'll come back to discuss some stuff, some dragons with Helen. Okay, Helen. So I have read the first book of the Ringmaker, and I think your dragons are very interesting. They're a little bit different than like mainstream dragons. Would you like to talk about that, or would you like to talk about something else?
Well, I don't really the dragons are changelings, so they're I haven't gotten into the culture of dragons yet because these characters are still discovering what it's like to be half dragon, half human. And I haven't gotten to the part of the series where I've talked about the wild dragons. You know that my favorite writer and who I will follow around worshiping for the rest of my life is Ursula K. Le Guin.
Yeah.
And her Wizards of Earthsea, I kind of nodded in her direction in regards to the type of dragons and the secrets those dragons hold and the symbolism of those dragons and how they treat treasure and so on. So I don't know as I have a lot to say about dragons, except that I really do think that they are in our hindbrain, maybe left over from dinosaurs. We have kind of a instinctive dread and fascination with them because there might have been real dragons in our background long ago. And so it like with the mythos of a vampire, there's just a lot of symbolic and metaphorical tones that are set with dragons, and you can hang on certain aspects or you can develop them yourself. And I really wanted to develop my own dragon with the fact that it was a changeling and how a dragon would be in this world. For example, with the scent, Salvira as a human can smell things that most humans cannot smell, and that's because she's a dragon changeling. Anyway, I don't have a lot to say about dragons except I'm fascinated by them in the same way many people are fascinated by vampires or werewolves or elves or what have you.
Yeah.
I think there's just a vast store of symbolism behind them that can be developed. I don't know if I'm developing it well at all, to be quite honest, but I'm trying.
Sure. So best you
Yeah.
can do.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Yeah. As hard as it is to get your ideas out on paper. I think you're
Right.
doing a wonderful job.
Oh, well, thanks.
So you did talk about Ursula Le Guin. What are some of your other influences?
God, isn't that enough?
Yeah. And it's okay
Um,
if you just want to say the one. That's
no,
great.
no. The guy, I can't write like him, but I just love his writing. It's John. God, I could forget his last name. He wrote Engine Summer, and he wrote Little Big, and he wrote Crowley, John Crowley.
Okay.
Just an excellent writer. And then Diana Wynne Jones, who just leaves J.K. Rowling in the dust. Oh, and Cixin Liu, who wrote Three Body Problem.
Oh, okay.
Have you read that yet?
I haven't, but
It's science fiction, but it is quite nice. The ideas in that book will just leave you stunned, really.
I will write that down.
Yeah, Cixin Liu is Cixinliu. Great writer. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And let's I'm gonna start the timer again because I forgot. All right, last part of Titles, Talk, and Tipples with Jude, David, Braxton, and Helen.
Click.
The third part, when we go into like an answer as quickly as you can kind of thing. So I'm gonna throw questions at you and you just answer as fast as you can.
At me or anybody?
Anybody.
Okay.
We'll start with you. Pen or pencil?
Pen.
Pen. Braxton?
Pencil.
David?
Pencil, easily.
Oh, awesome. I'm a pencil person too. Bust a creative myth, Braxton.
Ooh, my usual answer is that you wait and you're inspired and you do the thing, but I think that's been pretty well busted. So I guess my favorite thing is that in music there's no shortcuts. There's just no shortcuts.
Yeah.
It just flat out takes a long time. Full stop.
Nice. Helen, how about you? Bust a myth. Creative myth.
Which
Writing
myth? There's so many.
Just bust a one writing myth that people keep putting out there. You know, I see stuff posted on like
Oh, well, okay, I will not unbust this one. The show don't tell.
Huh?
That one is tried and true. Don't kids keep doing that one. That's the correct one. The
There
other
you go.
one that I got yelled at when I was in college, 40 years ago. Oh my God, is the one where you're not supposed to anthropomorphize the weather.
Oh,
Like the weather came in with a long gray beard and blowing whatever. I see people do that all the time, and I still hear Janet Burroway going, "Don't do that. You can be more creative than that. Don't do that." So I don't really care one way or the other, but I would say if you can pull it off, then do so. You know, like I don't know, an Indian blowing pipe smoke that looked like brown tobacco, like for clouds or something like that.
yeah.
I don't know. You could work with that, make it quite evocative.
Yeah.
Again, maybe you wouldn't. It's just really up to the writer.
Great. David, how about you? Bust a creative
I
myth.
don't know if I'm really busting it or not, but you always hear a lot of writers say, you just need to write every day.
Yeah.
No matter what it is,
Oh,
you
yeah.
write every day.
Yeah.
And I would,
Yeah, I have
okay,
something for
okay,
you.
you're with me on that. I'm like,
Yo,
no, I
God.
don't write every day.
Yeah.
It makes you feel guilty if you're not doing
Yeah.
it. Write whenever you friggin-
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's mine.
Guilt is a liar. So I already know Heather, I'm sorry, I said Heather because I was looking down. I already know Helen's answer to this. Agatha Christie, Mary Shelley, or Ursula Le Guin. You were-
Well,
Oh.
Le Guin.
David?
Yeah, well, out of those, I'm going to go with Mary Shelley.
Okay.
Yeah, Mary Shelley's cool.
Braxton?
We did a whole album in 2018 called The Haunting of Mary Shelley. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
have to be-
Yeah, Mary Shelley's cool.
Awesome.
we haven't gotten to Ursula or Shirley Jackson yet.
Yet. Yeah. Always yet, right? Stephen King, Edgar Allan Poe, or H.P. Lovecraft? Helen.
Lovecraft.
Okay.
That's a hard call, but I'll be different. I'll say Stephen King. He's been a big influence.
Okay. Braxton?
Edgar.
Okay. Awesome.
Edgar was too obvious for me. I can't go there.
Well, okay, only because I'm in this weird place where I really think I really just dig Robert Chambers more than H.P. Lovecraft at this point in my life.
Okay.
So King in Yellow is like, if you had thrown him in, then that would have been a head scratcher. Here's going to be the weird thing. I've not read nearly as much Stephen King as, if you're in a band and you like horror music, you write horror and everything. Like, I've read a handful of things. Like, when I first started reading King, I did not like it at all.
Okay.
And the gunslinger stuff is what finally clicked.
Yeah. It's the
that
Dark
was when I
Tower
was like,
that's the best.
I
Yeah.
was like, okay, I get this. And then I went back and read the novellas, and Salem's Lot is on my list that I need to really read.
There's some fun stuff.
Yeah.
To me, obviously Poe and Lovecraft they've had the influence and impact on writers, and they're great. I was thinking, one thing that struck me is about being accessible. And one thing
Mhm.
about writing Edgar was that Poe and Lovecraft, and this shouldn't be the way it is, but they're difficult. I taught high school for years and years and years, and I know it's challenging reading. You should challenge yourself, and you should read that way. But I also wanted stories to be accessible, and I wanted Edgar to be something that might invite people to read more Poe.
Yeah.
And Lovecraft is very challenging, I think, to read. It's the style, it's archaic. It's our attention span isn't set up anymore to be able to be patient enough to take Poe and to take Lovecraft as well. So I went with King just because it's so accessible. King's a good storyteller. He's not the
Mhm.
greatest writer. He's
Right,
a good
but he's a-
storyteller.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a really good storyteller. And the problem I have with King is he is so exasperating because he can write his fucking ass off and then he chooses not to. And
Mhm.
that drives me insane. There is a short story he wrote for the New Yorker that was beyond anything that Hemingway or the woman who did Color Purple, Alice, I can't remember her last name.
Walker.
Just stories beyond. And then you read something like, what is it? The damn car novel?
Oh, Christine.
Or Christine or Pet Cemetery. And I completely agree from a high school perspective or even a college perspective, they're completely accessible stories. But the guy, when he turns it on,
Uh-huh.
can just write his fucking ass off. But he doesn't always. And that drives me insane because it's like, this guy could be so. But I guess, if you're a writer, you know what it's like. You can't always do that.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No,
It
you
gets
can't.
exhausting, I think, after a while.
But you want people like Stephen King to just be
I mean,
there all the time.
I may have to
I admit
recheck
it.
out after that answer, and Helen's original thought makes me think I might be due to revisit some Lovecraft. It's been admittedly it's been a while, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I've sort of learned, especially I guess when we started rereading some of these books for album research and everything, I realized, I've read. He's like, I was like, I've read Dracula and everything, but really kind of sitting down and revisiting it. Some of the stuff when I go back to it, I feels like I'm reading again for the first time.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I
He's-
think
he's-
after hearing all that, I'm like, well, maybe I need to give, again, because, being a high school metalhead, that was when I first started reading a lot of H.P. Lovecraft. So it has been a minute, as they
There
say.
you go. Yeah, in light of what David was saying, so my novel that is published right now, I wanted to make Dante's Inferno accessible. And so the main chunk of that story is basically bringing Dante's Inferno to an accessible language, and then that will continue with the purgatory and paradise.
Can
So
I throw a crazy fact in there in that, because that just speaks to me so much. I used to decorate my high school English classroom like the Inferno when we were going to study the excerpts from the Inferno, so the
Nice.
kids had to come into it like a haunted house. It was so
Oh my
fun.
God.
Nice.
I
And
love
when
that.
we did, and when I retired and we did ghost tours and we had a hearse and we drove people around in the hearse, my character as the storyteller was Virgil Nightshade. So Virgil from the Inferno being the guy
Right.
to take you
Yeah.
around, and Nightshade from Ray Bradbury's Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Oh yeah.
And my son was the driver in a big Grim Reaper outfit, who never spoke a word, and he was Charon, the ferryman of
Yeah, the fairy.
driving the hearse.
Carrying the-
So we had to take from
Great.
Dante's Inferno and yeah, talk about making it accessible. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So a lot of many creatives struggle with winter and shorter, darker, colder days. What do you do to keep yourself motivated? And do your habits change? Braxton.
Winter's actually my favorite season.
Okay.
And
right.
I think, well, I mean, I'm lucky. I was talking to a friend of mine from North Dakota, and I think I would feel differently if I lived in North Dakota. Again, I'm fortunate enough to live in the region of the country where when it snows, we all just decide to take the day off.
Yeah.
The day. So I think all the grays and the barren trees and the sort of cool stillness and everything is super inspiring. So I don't it you know the bases seem to like winter okay. So yeah, it doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you, Helen?
It's a weird answer. I find
Right, no, that's okay.
I find it all really inspiring. So
That's great. Yeah, and here in the Pacific Northwest, we get like 5 hours of daytime, and
Mhm.
and a lot of that daytime is silver or gray or some chromatic.
Mhm.
Or wet.
Or wet,
Mhm.
So how about you? Do your habits change? And what do you
Yeah,
do?
I'm like Braxton. I really like the winter. And in Chinese medicine, the yin time is the winter time, and that's for going inside, both spiritually, psychically, and environmentally.
Right?
You know,
Mhm.
yeah. So I spend a lot of time thinking about character and uh plotting out things and doing the the nuts and bolts pieces of the novels sometimes, you know. Yeah, I like winter.
Awesome. How about you, David?
Yeah, I'm in the winter club. I also feel the same way. And since I'm retired, I can write in the summer or the winter. But in the summer, I've got things to do outside. I mean, there's yard work to do and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I'm like the summer okay, but I hate mosquitoes and I hate yellow jackets, and I'm battling those all throughout the summer. And the winter doesn't have those. And so I can be inside. I don't have to be cutting grass or anything. So it gives me more of an opportunity to write. This year has just been kind of funny. I'm looking forward to getting back into it.
Yeah.
And I'd have to question for Helen on this part. I don't know if Braxton has the same issue in music, but Helen, with your publishing and your writing, the last writing I did was a year ago, because I was then trying to do things to work, to promote, to market, to do all this
Yeah.
stuff that ended up not even working. And it's
Right.
not fun. And I hate it. I
I do
wanted to
too.
write. And I'm now of a mind that I'm an independent writer, then I'm screw it with all this marketing. If I don't sell anything, it's fine. I'm going to get back to writing, since I'm not dependent upon it for my existence, and write for the reason that I started writing in the first place, and get back into that. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. And winter gives me a chance. Like, I don't feel like I have to be out doing something else. I can devote some attention to the writing.
Fantastic. And if you were on a deserted island and could have only one book, one movie, and one music album, what would they be, David?
Gosh. Oh gosh.
You got to go
Uh,
fast, fast, fast.
Oh yeah, yeah. You have to come back.
Okay,
I'm
Braxton.
the person who can never tell you a favorite. I can't.
Right.
I have a hard time doing that. So yeah. That's really hard to say.
How about
Oh
you,
gosh, I can't do it.
Braxton?
Okay, so knowing that my answers are always subject to change depending on my mood
Right.
for music,
Yeah.
one album that has stayed one of my consistent favorite records is the phenomenal bassist Renaud Garcia-Font, his album Solo, the Merciful concert, where he did a whole evening of his own compositions just with his bass and a looper in a Spanish monastery. I'm never not in the mood to hear that record. So that would definitely be the record. Movie, you know, I would flip a coin between these two, so I'll change up my answer. Instead of going with my gothic favorite, I'm going to say The Adventures of Baron Munchausen,
Okay.
which
Nice.
we watched,
Haha!
Yeah, that's
which
a good one.
we rewatched when we were internetless without during the hurricane season, and I forgot just how much I just truly loved that movie.
Such a
And then
great
what was the third
movie.
one? Book? The book?
The book.
You know, at this point, yeah, probably the annotated Dracula.
Okay.
Probably.
Helen, do you have answers for that?
Oh yeah,
You
the
know,
Left Hand of
Divine Comedy
Darkness
is right up there. So
The Left Hand of Darkness? Is that
by
what
Ursula K. Le Guin.
you- Mhm.
For the movie Brazil.
Nice. Oh,
Oh,
That's
good
in my
too.
top 10.
that's great.
It's either Alien or Brazil.
Yeah.
And anything by Eric Whiteacre, any album or any work done by Eric Whiteacre, he is a phenomenal choral composer. His work is amazing.
So it's in Brazil and the Adventures of
Yes,
Munchausen, same people,
they are,
same
yes.
creators.
both
Nice.
Terry Gilliam
Yes.
movies.
Yeah.
David, how about you? Did you figure it out or?
I stumble over that whole thing, but the last things that I've
Come on,
watched,
David.
enjoyed, I can go that way.
You can do
I
it.
just watched.
You can do it.
I just watched the Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. I don't know if you know that movie. It's really a good movie, but I don't know that it's going to be the one that I would keep on a desert island. But I just watched it and I really enjoyed it, and it was complex and the characters. It's so cool. Francis McCormick's in it. It's there's no good or bad. Woody Harrelson's in it. Really gripping story and so much drama, and there's good people and bad people, but they're not, because it's like, no, we're not. We're all levels of everything. And it really makes you question that and think about
What's the
plot.
name?
Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Okay,
It
I've
was
heard of that
filmed,
movie.
part of it, a lot of it was filmed in North Carolina and Black Mountain, right outside where I live, and near Silva, we're not too far away too. But big actors, but really gripping story.
Oh.
What was the movie? That was a movie. The last book I read was Paul Tremblay, that I really, really, really enjoyed. Paul Tremblay's horror movie. So it combines the two things. It's really great. It's excellent. It's so neat because it's such a unique way of telling a story. Paul Tremblay creates it just does a unique job when he's telling a story. He doesn't do it typically. And so there's always these really unique approaches to getting a story, and how you get the story fed to you. He did that too with this other book, Paul Bear's Club. I can't do it without telling you the plot, but it's both of those are excellent books.
Wonderful. Okay. And let's see. Okay, it's because I'm here to ask the questions that we don't get asked anymore because we're grown up. So, but I'm gonna ask you, what's your favorite color?
Oh my!
Just shout it out.
Blue.
Blue,
But
black.
black is really right there too, but I didn't want to say it.
Oh,
It's like saying,
I didn't hear you. Would you say that again, David?
blue. I went with blue,
Oh, okay.
but I do like black.
What's your favorite food? Helen.
Lobster bisque.
Oh, nice. Braxton.
I maintain the taco is one of the greatest
taco.
contributions to civilization there is.
David?
I don't know.
I'm having
Barbecue
tacos
ribs
after
are,
this, actually.
Oh, barbecue.
barbecue
Oh,
ribs are hard to beat.
Okay.
See, it's the beauty of the taco because you could barbecue the ribs.
It
Bam, tacos.
incorporates everything.
There you go. What's your favorite dinosaur?
Velociraptor.
Pterodactyl.
Velociraptor.
I always like the brontosaurus for some reason. I don't know why. Big, just like to ride it like a Fred Flintstone.
Nice.
The pterodactyl. I always like the wings.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
okay.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Well, see, now I changed my
Now,
mind.
yeah.
That was me
That's
with
why I
the
can't
books.
have
I've
favorites.
got like 3 or 4 other books I could throw out other than Dracula. so-
Right. And Bad Juju and J-Bone want to know, what's your favorite monster?
Ooh. Growing up, it was always Wolfman for
Okay.
me. My-
I mean, do ghosts count as
Sure.
monsters? I mean,
Yeah.
ghost
Oh, yeah,
stories
yeah.
yeah.
Just
Ghost stories.
any ghost or a particular one pop up in your mind?
Probably the first ghost story I truly loved was probably then it would be the Canterville ghost.
Okay.
Is kind of a typical ghost story, but when I was a kid, I had this anthology book, and I remember just reading that one over and over and over.
Oh, nice. Okay. Helen?
The Wendigo.
Oh, nice. That's a good one. Wonderful.
Yeah, I got attracted to that somehow. Oh, it was a podcast.
Okay.
It wasn't well done, but it was spooky as hell. It was good. Yeah.
Neat.
All right. Well, that's all I have for you all. Do you have anything you want to throw out there that I haven't covered?
I don't know. I want to throw out an idea. Braxton's got me thinking, and we may have to touch base again because I'm thinking about a collaboration. I've been toying with the idea of going ahead and taking Edgar, the book, and putting it on my podcast and narrating it, because that's what I do, is put original stories on Dark Corners. And I'm thinking of a collaboration with Braxton because I need music, and to do put the Poe and the music together. That would be a lot of fun.
Wonderful.
So let's see if I can talk him into it.
So yeah, would you cover your Dark Corners really quickly?
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic storyteller, by the way. That's how I found David.
Oh, was that right?
Yeah, it was Dark Corners was
Oh, neat.
and
Yeah,
then
it's
I was like, and I'm not into like audiobooks, but I wanted to give some stuff a chance. And I think that was one of the first things I came across, was because it reminds me of like the old radio shows.
that's what I wanted to do. Really, just that
yes.
old, I don't know,
Yeah.
Inner Sanctum, Squeaking Door, some kind of spooky thing where it's just ghost stories. I just love ghost stories. So just putting some ghost stories out there. And then I did take 2 of my books, Race of the Appalachian for a whole season. So it's 13 chapters, and Witchworks for 13 chapters, and did that. But the first season is just standalone stories. But now I'm thinking about doing Edgar that way. It's 13 chapters. That's kind of a trademark, is to do things for 13
nice.
chapters. And I might, seriously, I'm thinking about putting Edgar out there that way. So, but I need some ambient music, and
It'd be cool.
we'll have to chat.
Okay, great. So let's go ahead and tell the folks out there how to find out more about you and your work. Braxton?
You can learn more about Valentine Wolfe at valentinewolfe.com, spell wolf with an E. Valentine is spelled exactly like the holiday, but if you put it in, so WOLFE.com, and you can find out all about who we are, what we do, and how we do it there.
Wonderful. Helen, how do people find about you? Find out.
That's my website, which is www.hmsanders.com.
Great. Okay.
I've got a blog up there, and I've got, my books and all that.
Wonderful. Okay. And David?
DavidAllanVoyles.com. And my Allen is actually spelled with an E instead of like Edgar Allan Poe's, but we do share the same middle name, even if it's spelled differently.
Yeah.
DavidAllanVoyles.com.
Wonderful. All right. Well, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. I want to be sure I did cover what you wanted covered, though, so I can always edit something in if you have anything more to say.
For me, thank you for having me, and thank you for
Yeah.
having us. This was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank
Had a good
you,
time.
Braxton and Helen, for stepping in kind of last. Helen stepped in pretty last minute. Braxton a couple days ago. So because I had people
I'm
dropping
sorry.
out all the time. So
I read the email and kind of looked at our schedules like, oh yeah, I can do that. And like I told you, then I really need to stop that thing where I reply to emails telepathically.
telepathically. Yeah.
Did you read my mind? I said I'm here.
Well,
Yeah.
fantastic. All
That's
right.
good. Thanks again.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank
very
you.
much. You're welcome. Have a wonderful night.
You
Bye-bye.
too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Busyness gets our writing. It's like if you want a writer's block, get a different job kind of thing. Take on another thing.
Yeah. Yeah, let's get another degree. Hooray.
Yeah.